Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to another episode of DJ Force 10 in Conversation, number 101. How fantastic is that? We've broken the 100 mark, and I've got a very special guest on this show. It is Geoff Downes. He is a keyboard player extraordinaire. He plays in such bands as the Buggles. If you remember, Video Killed the Radio Star. He also plays in Yes, and he also plays in Asia. But we are talking about DBA today. That is the Downes Braid Association group he has. And they are about to release a new album on the 29th of November. It is called Live in England. It is a live recording, surprisingly, from that name. And it features hits from two of the sort of legends of music composition. You got Geoff Downes, who we're chatting to today, and he plays with Chris Braid, who is another player, extraordinary player, and this is their third offering. They've got a couple of studio albums out, but this was the first time they played together live, or played some of these songs together live. And they're going to be doing it again in February as well. That's when the vinyl comes out for it. So those interested in vinyl will have to wait until February 2020. But if you want to get your hands on it, it's a 2 CD DVD box set. It's absolutely fantastic. I love listening to it. It really does take me back to childhood and stuff like that, where music was played in the household or in my dad's car or something like that. And it's just a fantastic album. But I talk about that in the interview. Managed to get him on the phone, which was awesome. I'm so lucky to get these things sorted, especially with these legendary artists. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm still doing my scratch. As of today, we're on 323. Oh my goodness. I'll be on more by the time this is released in a couple of days. So do keep an eye on that. It's on YouTube. It is on my Instagram. Just search out DJ Force X, and it should bring up all the bits and bobs you need to know. If you're interested in a bit of creative DJing, a bit of scratch, or you're just curious. It's certainly, I'm going to report on it at the end of the year and see where we're at. But I've also got my plan for next year. A lot of people asking, what are you going to do next, Barnaby? What are you going to do? Well, I'm not going to tell you right now, but it'll be cool. It does involve this podcast, so it'll just give it a different angle, which will be nice. But we're gonna talk about that at a later date. But anyway, right now, this is Geoff Downes on DJ Force 10 in Conversation. Enjoy. So, Geoff, thank you very much for doing the show, first and foremost.
No problem at all.
I really appreciate
nice
it. No, it's absolutely, my pleasure. I'm going to say that because it's, I've been a fan of your music for a while. Some of the stuff I actually wasn't aware that you were part of. Initially.
Okay. Yeah, a bit of a checkered past.
A little bit. I was doing a little digging, and after I got the opportunity from Sharon, she sent me the Downes Braid Association radio track initially, and then since the album, the Live in England,
good,
which you've got coming out at the end of November.
That's right, November 29th, I think.
Yeah, and it's a 2 CD and DVD box set, is that correct?
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, cool. And that's the live performance you had back in, was it 2018? So I've got it
about a year ago. Yeah, it was last September, so over a year ago.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was a great gig. We really enjoyed it, and I'm glad we managed to capture the event, because it's we had a chance of using material from all three albums that we've done together. So it was really good.
No, I mean, like I've listened through the album and it did sound like an absolutely amazing event. I'm gutted I missed it. This is why I was like finding out a bit more about you as I was sort of like preparing for this. So it was it's like I said, it sounded like a fantastic live event. I really liked. There was a few tracks that really I really liked on there. You got Machinery of Fate. Which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that was from the second album.
Yeah,
I mean, we were lucky because we had some great musicians with us as well to complement the whole thing. And we had David Longdon from Big Trade who joined us, and Andy Hodge, the bass player, played on the last album. It was Dave Colker here, the guitarist. So it was a really good night, and I think it was. Very much a kind of musicians, get together, which is great.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounded that way. It was a. I was listening to it. My wife says it's like a big jam session. Yeah. Just these guys playing through various like back catalogue classics. And I had to agree with her really because that's exactly what it sounded like. We had it on in the house, so it was really enjoyable.
Right, yeah.
And
you like it.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward. I'm actually probably going to pick up the vinyl version of it. I know that doesn't come out until February, but
well, the thing is that both Chris and I are big vinyl fans, and all three albums in the past have been available on vinyl. Because I think that the way that the albums were written, they were written in a kind of sequence, like the old ways that people used to put albums together.
Yeah.
And I think that, quite a bit of that has been lost these days, whereby people just sort of just jump around from track to track, which you couldn't do in the vinyl days. You drop the stylus at the top of the album, and you listen to the whole thing. And I think that in many ways that is really, it's a bit like, where if you listen to a piece of classical music, you don't suddenly just sort of jump in halfway through the third movement and and then jump back to the front of the thing. You listen to it as a whole, and I think that's what Chris and I were trying to get across was, we were making an album, not just a collection of songs.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I'm a big vinyl fan myself, so that is definitely something that is missing, especially on the more modern albums. Like they're more of just a collection of single tracks rather than a story of
people. Obviously, people just download the track that they've heard, the MP3 or whatever, and or MP4. It's a way that it's gone. But at the same time, I think both Chris and I were very much of the opinion that we wanted to do something that was, had some stream of consciousness and some air of connectivity between all the tracks, rather than it just being a collection of songs.
Yeah, no, I think that's why I wanted to pick up on vinyl, to be honest with you, because like I said, I'm a vinyl fan, and these sort of like the way, like you say, you've created this, it owes itself to be played in that fashion. Yeah, I think that's why people do like vinyl. It's an event, isn't it? You put it on and you just let it roll, and you get drawn into it that way. Yeah, and I think that it's not something that should be cast aside in the modern technological way that things operate. Steamroller over that. I don't think that should happen. I think that people should be able to appreciate an album as an album, rather than it just being, as a collection of songs. Yeah, no, definitely. So this performance, this was your first performance as the Downes Braid Association, is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so why did it take that? Was it just sort of like your schedules getting together? Why did it take so long to sort of come together in a live setting, or did it start as a sort of just a studio project?
Well, I think we started it more as a studio project, but I think we both felt that we'd like to perform it live, and But I think at that point, in the early part, when we just done one album or so, it would not have been very realistic just to play one album. But I think that once we got further along the line and we did 2 more studio albums, then we had pretty good source of material to be able to pick from and put a nice set together. But there was more to do with that as much as it was to do with the fact that obviously Chris lives out in LA and I'm usually in the UK or travelling around, so it was a mix. We just had to try and find a window when we could do it, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose between being in Yes and Asia and things like that as well, because obviously they're out. You're out on tour with them. I think recently.
Yeah, I mean, we just did a big tour this summer in the States for both Yes and Asia, so it's not that easy to collaborate. But at the same time, I think once I got back, we exchanged ideas, and then we started to build things up, and that's pretty much how we worked together for the whole of the project. And we're going to be looking at doing another one at some point, not necessarily in the near future, but certainly hoping to get one out in the next year or so.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was going to be my next sort of point of question. It's like, are you planning to do it again? Because I'd love to come see it. Obviously, if you're playing in the UK.
Yeah, well, it's just an ongoing thing. I think that it's a bit of a not so much a hobby for Chris and I, because we do take it very seriously. But it's something that we both enjoy doing, and we're not really pressured by, we're not seeking massive commercial success or anything like that. We just want to make the kind of music that we like, and I think if we like it, then we're gonna. Some other people are going to like it, and that's really how we approach it. It's a no pressure, relaxed situation that we're both very comfortable with.
Excellent. No, that's really cool. That's the kind of vibe I got from the performance as well. That it was that kind of a passion point. That you were going through, like music that you wanted to play. Yeah,
I think some people go out there and they. With both Chris and I are fortunate in the fact that we've both got, successful careers ongoing, and so I suppose we've been afforded something of a luxury to be able to get on with doing something is very special to both of us.
Yeah,
and without the constraints or pressures of having to do that specifically for a living, and so, as I say, it's got a sort of hobbyist feel to it as much as anything else.
No, definitely. And I'm just like tapping on the commercial success side of things. The arrangement of Video Killed the Radio Star you did for that show was amazing.
Yeah,
and the Bolero as well. The yes track.
It's nice to be able to. I mean, with Chris, we could go out and we could play virtually all of that stuff just with a keyboard and a vocal, And I think that when you strip those songs down and you can actually perform them in that kind of environment, then I think that says something about the strength of the song itself, because the way that I used to write with John Wetton in Asia was very similar to that, is that, we often felt that if we couldn't make it work with a very, very rudimentary keyboard accompaniment and the lead vocal, then it probably wasn't going anywhere as a song. So that was very much, the unplugged theory is really quite significant, I think, as songwriting goes, is that it's, if you can make it work in that environment, then anything you can add to it in production.
Well, it totally took me by surprise, that track, because I saw the track listing, I was like, oh, cool. And when I was listening to the album, there was vocals, there was like, you could hear all the musicians playing, and for it to come out as like an instrumental, but orchestral at the same time.
Yeah, well, I think that's again is part of the is part of the charm, particularly of that song. And of course, the thing with Chris is that there's a significance to it because I think the first album Chris ever bought was The Age of Plastic by the Buggles.
Oh, really?
And one of the reasons why he wanted to get together with me was because he was a huge Buggles fan, and the style of arrangements and sounds that I used, and the chord structures and all that kind of stuff. He was a huge fan of that, so that's one of the main reasons why he wanted to work with me, and I think we hit it off pretty well straight away.
Excellent. Yeah, there was a few other tracks that I really liked as well. It was Suburban Ghosts, was a good track, and Lighthouse as well, which I think is the radio single.
Yeah, Lighthouse is it's great track. They're all very kind of melodic, and I think that some people, like yourself, will pick out individual tracks, but I think that one of our provisos was we like melodies, and we like tunes, and call it old fashioned stuff, but that was one of the things that we tried to get across was to Chris is very, very adept at being able to make a number of different melodies off a very simple structure.
Yeah.
And so that was, that's one of the things that I really admired about how he approached it, was that he could deliver a completely different set of lyrics and set of tunes over some of the basic stuff that I put together.
No, it was the whole experience of it was really good. Like
great.
I'm highly recommending it to my people that are listening to this as well.
Yes, well, we enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounded that way. That's what I really liked about it. It just sounded like a fun night. No, there's very rare where you can, like some shows you go to, and the musicians, they do enjoy it, but there are some nights where they're just kind of playing through, going through the motions, if you will, because they're playing that set again. But this just sounded like a whole experience of.
Yeah, well, I don't think we were trying to prove anything. We just wanted to go there and get our music out, albeit to a select few. But at the same time, it was experimental, and I think the experiment worked. Which is why we're doing another show there in February, actually.
Okay.
On Valentine's Day of all things. So it's going to be again. We're going to recruit the same guys who did the last one with us, and I think it'll be, we're going to change it up a bit, do a few of the songs that we didn't do on this particular live recording, and it's just a bit of fun. Cool,
excellent. Well, we're gonna round things up a little bit now, if that's all right, because I don't want to keep you too long. Because I know you've probably got a few of these today. But these are just sort of more questions that I sort of the questions I ask every musician that I speak to on my interviews. They're kind of a bit more about yourself, your influences, and whatnot. But yeah, I'm just interested into knowing what your 3 top albums are of all time, kind of the ones that kind of shaped you in the musician that you are today.
Well, I think I'd have to go back for quite some time, probably into the mid to late 60s. I think Procol Harum were a huge influence, and the Nice. I think most of my influence came from that period whereby bands suddenly started to have a keyboard-driven element into it, whereas before, even the Beatles were very, very guitar-oriented, albeit they did have, certain keyboard parts come in. But when I saw bands like Procol Harum and the Nice and King Crimson starting to come through, then all of those bands had a big influence on me because they were very, very keyboard-oriented.
Cool.
And one of the big albums that I always cite as being probably my favourite album of all time was The Land of Grey and Pink by Caravan, which really was to me the ultimate keyboard-driven album of that era. So I definitely cite that one. Probably The Visitors by ABBA was another one that again was very keyboard-driven. Benny Anderson was a brilliant orchestrator, and if people listen to some of the stuff below beneath the surface.
Yeah.
It's actually quite progressive. There's quite a prog element in ABBA's music, which is underpinning the whole thing. And I think some people might miss that and just dismiss it as straight pop music. So that would certainly be up there in my book. Third album, I'm not sure. Maybe possibly. Got me there. Maybe Marvin Gaye. What's going on?
Okay,
album.
Cool. Yeah.
Because I think that he was probably one of the most emotional singers that they've been. Fleetwood Mac. I love Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
All sorts of. I like music from all genres, and
cool.
So it's very hard to make that decision. But I've given you 3 albums there that would certainly be up there.
No, definitely. I'm going to check out the ABBA album because I don't think I've listened to that. I know about obviously Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, and you're the first one that's ever mentioned Caravan.
Right, okay.
I'm aware of the band, but I'm going to check out Graham Pink again.
Yeah, check out Caravan.
Yeah, no, definitely.
9 Feet Underground is the big long track, and it's effectively just a Hammond organ solo nearly all the way through, but it's so well structured that. But they're all very kind of keyboardy albums.
Cool.
And that's really my thing.
Yeah, no, I have a sort of similar thing with my influences because I'm a DJ, obviously radio DJ right now. But what kind of rock, classic rock or modern stuff? A bit of everything on that front. It's on a rock station. The radio show itself, but my background as a DJ is I'm like a scratch DJ as well, which is more like the performing side of things. So it's sort of manipulating sounds on records and stuff and making them work with music and whatnot. But it's the same thing with some of my influential albums.
You're sort of moving into the creative DJ role.
Yes, yeah, exactly that.
Right.
And it the same sort of thing. I've got like highly albums that influence me that have a DJ sound on it or a DJ on it, and that's what it's the same sort of thing with you with the keyboards. I was just sort of like, so it's the same path, but obviously a bit more like into that DJ side of things.
A lot of dance music that came out was they all started using old analog keyboards and that sort of stuff. The analog keyboards took a massive resurgence when, particularly the Ibiza kind of dance music came up.
Yep, definitely.
Because a lot of the DJs were using, analog keyboards to generate the rhythms and the sounds and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So all those old keyboards from the 70s and early 80s made a huge comeback and sort of tripled in price.
They did. Yes, they did.
Yeah, and I sold a lot of mine, so I was thinking, there you go.
It happens. What are your hobbies away from music? Obviously, I know that this sort of project was more of a hobby base for you, but do you have anything else away from music that you do to unwind?
Yeah, I do like travelling, and even though I do a lot of it on the road, I like to travel outside and look at places that I've never had a chance to look at. When you're on tour, you've got no chance to look at these places. Yeah. So I enjoy that. I'm very much into my computers and tinker around. I've got quite a lot of Macs. So
cool.
I try and keep those all pristine and up to date. And I'm a big sports fan, so I've got a season ticket at Cardiff City of all places.
Oh, cool.
And that's just my kind of hobbies are as much time as I can get off the road. I'll spend doing other things. Excellent.
And finally, where's the best place to reach out and find out about DBA and your general projects?
Well, I think I've got my own website, geoffdownes.com. Obviously, the Yes World site covers a lot of Yes, so they'll find out what's going on there. Originalasia.com follows the Asia stuff.
Cool.
And DBA has its own website and Twitter account called Real DBA.
Oh, cool.
So it's Cherry Red is also the distributor of the of all the DBA products. We have our own kind of internal label there on the esoteric label. So any one of those sources has generally got some info going on about DBA.
Excellent. Cool. Well, Geoff, thank you very much.
Okay, nice to speak to you, Barnaby.
Have a good rest of your day.
Excellent. All right, thank you. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.